Hi, I'm David.
And I'm Gail.
And here we are in lovely San Francisco for 2 days.
For a weekend, actually.
Yes. So what we decided to do on our first day, because it was going to be a very nice day, was to do a very long walk and save the second day for museums, because we knew that was going to be a very rainy day.
Our walk was about 15 kilometers long, and it involved crossing the Golden Gate Bridge and also walking along the San Francisco Bay.
Yes. So we took a bus from downtown San Francisco to the top of the bridge, basically, and then walked across the bridge.
And once we were there, we went to the Golden Gate Bridge Pavilion Visitors Center with its interpretation.
And then went to the Palace of Fine Arts along the shoreline and to Fort Mason, and then hopped on a cable car, which took us back to our hotel in the Nob Hill neighborhood. So here we are starting our walk across the bridge. It doesn't look it, but there was a lot of people on the bridge along with us. This happened to be the suicide prevention mesh hanging over the edge of the bridge. And then, of course, looming above us was the bridge superstructure, a very impressive structure indeed that supported all the suspension cables for the bridge.
And that's the thing, when you walk across, you can stop and examine things closely and personally. So you can really appreciate the engineering feat of the bridge.
And then off to the side, of course, there were wonderful views looking out of the San Francisco Bay, looking down towards downtown. And then inevitably, you would always see Alcatraz in the middle of all that. You'll see lots of views of Alcatraz.
It follows us on the bridge and along the bay. It's only 1.25 miles off of the San Francisco coast.
So once off the bridge, and once we had visited the tourist stand and had gotten our coffees, we headed off along the coast towards downtown area.
Some of the parts were a bit tricky.
Yes.
And then you get these iconic views along the way. Alcatraz again.
Yes, sure. And then we ran into, of course, the beach area, walked along the beach, lots of activity. This happens to be very near Crissy Field, which was that historic airfield.
And then a dog park, which we didn't expect, and it ended up being a highlight of the day.
That's right. Ran into a fellow with his Italian greyhound. We spent some time talking with them about greyhounds in general.
Alcatraz.
It's always there. Go again. Get rid of it.
Oh, those prisoners.
Those prisoners, yeah. Here we are at the Palace of Fine Arts. It was really worthwhile going here. There is the iconic view that you see in pictures, but it's really worthwhile actually going in and around it. You get really close to some of the decorations. It's a very fine classical monument, I guess, sculpture, really.
It's a remnant from the 1915 Panama Pacific International Exposition, but was rebuilt.
Here we are continuing along the coastline, the shoreline. And along the way, we came across Fort Mason. Interesting place. It's been redeveloped, so it now contains a lot of galleries and coffee shops and what have you. We ran into the San Francisco camera work just by accident, more or less, but it was a really nice exhibit inside.
These are old port facilities, piers, and warehouses.
And Alcatraz, there it is again.
Here we are approaching the 1939 Aquatic Park Bathhouse building.
It's very nice.
Looks like a ship.
And it's a very fine piece of art modern architecture. And just beyond the museum is the Ghirardelli Chocolate Works, which is a very early example of heritage preservation reuse. And it's also famous for its hot fudge sundaes.
Which we can vouch for.
That's true.
Across the street is the terminus, or the beginning of one of the cable car lines. So we use this as an opportunity to take a ride up to our hotel area.
These are very steep hills indeed, so it was quite a roller coaster kind of ride. There were two people on board, one was the brakeman and one was the driver, and it takes a lot of skill basically to be able to latch onto the cables that are running under the street to successfully drive the car forward. Anyways, after that we headed over to a brasserie which was recommended to us by our concierge at the hotel for basically a happy hour munchies and drinks, of course. And from there we headed up through the Chinatown area. It was very dark at this point in time, but I think we felt pretty safe walking through the area.
There were a lot of people and there was a festive atmosphere.
Right. And what we were in search of was a good seafood restaurant, which just lay beyond the Chinatown area. And here's that area. Lots of different restaurants, as you can see.
Look, there's our sign. Bottom left, white. That's the restaurant that we had our meal at.
That's we're heading to, yeah. And here
we are.
Sitting in that very restaurant. We're sitting at the countertop, a very bustling kind of a restaurant. Really lively place to be. Had a lovely Italian seafood stew.
And then just back to our hotel for a night's sleep.
It's the next morning, and here's our hotel, by the way, which we highly recommend. It was the Hotel Vintage Court on Nob Hill. As you can see, it was a rainy day. It started off not too bad, but it quickly got very, very wet and slushy. We started off just walking the streets for a bit, looking at some terracotta.
Yes, look at that. Beautiful. It's probably manufactured in California.
That's right.
Lovely green color. We saw many examples of terracotta through the downtown. It was impressive.
And that led us to the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. Quite a really good gallery, actually. Modern gallery. They seemed to have a specialty in photography, contemporary photography. We saw a temporary exhibit, Wolfgang Tillmans, which was really quite good. I enjoyed it a lot. Probably when you visit the gallery, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, it'll be at different shows, but probably they'll also be really quite good. This was really top notch. And we saw several other exhibits as well while we were there. We really enjoyed our time, pretty much a half a day that we spent there.
Including lunch.
Eventually we had to leave the gallery and head out into the wet San Francisco weather. It was wet, and we ended up heading off to the San Francisco Cable Car Museum.
So this is in the Washington Mason Powerhouse and Car Barn. And these gears that you see pull the cables under the ground.
Our final pit stop of the day was to the very famous City Lights bookstore, which was established by Lawrence Ferlinghetti, a very famous beat poet and author. And then after that, it was sloshing through the rain back to our hotel, more or less, where we picked up a pizza, took it up to our hotel room, and then prepared for the next day's journey.
By train.